Hi guys, and welcome to TechFurb. Today we are doing, well, yet another Ryzen 7 build, so I'm sorry for that, but, well, let's jump into it, I guess. Okay, so there's a bit of an elephant in the room if you've been following my channel, or rather been waiting for me to upload a video to my channel, because it has been some time. For that, I'm sorry. Life has been incredibly busy. Work, rally stuff, life, just generally a lot of things going on at the moment. And I just haven't had time to make YouTube videos, which really bums me out because I love making content for you guys. And the thing was, I didn't want to make content when I'm stressed out, because it comes out in the video. There's no heart and soul to it. It just becomes a piece of production and a piece of material that's not, my heart's not in, because I'm so busy thinking about something else. This is not what this video is about. This video is all about me getting back on the proverbial horse. And what better way to do it than to take this shitty case that my very good hardware is in, or was very good when I bought it. Bit obsolete now, but anyway, that's fine. Ryzen 3000. Yes, for those of you who don't know, this currently contains my Ryzen 7 1700, 32 gigs of RAM. Had a graphics card, I think it was a GTX 1050 or something, I can't remember. But it was built up for video editing, decked out with a bunch of hard drives, and it was also compact so I could move it around. And I have found that I just haven't moved it around. So rather than leave the poor thing constrained to this tiny case and losing performance because it's currently not overclocked because it's running a stock cooler, so yeah, that's great. I'm noticing lag in Premiere, and it's also running VMs and yada 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 yada. So rather than constrict the performance of the chip, I'm going to move it back to a proper case, which is over there. So this bad boy here, this is what it's going into. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this chassis, so I think it's a little bit of an older one. It's been around for a while. It's a Corsair Air 540, if I remember the correct naming. Now, this is a ATX-based case. It currently has 5 fans in it. No RGB fans. It does have RGB in it because I did have to put it in there. And we also have convenient things like this, you know, that's a hard drive hot swap bay. I do try and plug cases in and out of this thing every now and then, so, you know, that has a use. And more importantly, this is going to be high airflow, so we can get things like this guy, a Cooler Master Hyper 212, well, turbo, I guess. Yeah, so that's it there. I've used that cooler in a couple of benchmarks before, and well, considering that we had a leak the last time I had it in water cooling, I am going to air cooling. So with all of that in mind, I think it's time we build. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so before I run through the specs, we need to unbuild my old computer. So, well, let's tear it apart, and then we'll run over the specs of the machine. Okie dokie, so computer is stripped. As you can see, we pulled all the parts out. Now, critically, this main board we are not going to reuse, so it can just stay in this case. I do have a plan to eventually get a Ryzen 3000 series chip, not the top tier ones, sort of the more 3600 or lower, and drop it in this board with a bit of RAM and a bit of turn it into a test bench. But for the time being, this board has to go. So we're bringing back my ATX board, which did get drenched in water, but it has had plenty of time to dry out. So yes, so let's get this mess out of the way, and let's get the real toys up on the bench. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to build the system. So we'll do a quick rundown of the parts we're using. For the motherboard, we're using an ASRock AB350 Gaming K4. For the memory, we are using Corsair Vengeance LPX. It's 32 gig hit, 2666 megahertz. There is a story behind this. At the time it was anything available. That's why I got it. Long story short, it cost me about $300 and something back in when the RAM pricing gouging was going on. So yeah, very overpriced, but hey, it does the job. CPU, we have a Ryzen 7 1700. This bad boy will be overclocked to 3.7 gigahertz because this is a bit of a dud chip. It doesn't overclock well. So 3.7 is it's stable, and that is what we're going to try and achieve in this particular build. We're not going for something crazy because this is a editing rig. It needs to be reliable. Now, for storage, we have a 256 gig NVMe drive there, a 256 gig SATA drive, two 2 terabyte drives, and a 3 terabyte drive. So it's a pretty crazy over-the-top storage option, but I need it because video takes up a lot of space. And I also have a server sitting in the cupboard which has 5 point something terabytes of storage. That's almost full. Yeah. Video is a pain in the ass to store on things. Anyway, graphics card. Graphics card is a old school GeForce GTX 670. Yes, I'm a tech channel running a freaking 7-year-old graphics card in my main editing rig. I don't care. It works. And the reason why I don't care and say that it works is because, yes, I do have a GTX 1080 sitting around on the shelves here that does get used for benchmarking. I have an RX 480 that does get used for benchmarking, and I have a 1050 which is kind of the same thing as the 670. But the reality is I need those aforementioned GPUs for benchmarking, and I don't want to pull this computer apart just to run a bloody benchmark. It's a frustrating exercise. So that is why we're using a 670. Power supply. Power supply is a Thermaltake Light Power 750 watt V2. I do not recommend that you buy this because I have been burnt by this bloody power supply before. In my test rig, the power supply is now shorting. If it gets too much current through it, it'll just, you'll be sitting there benchmarking away and the system will cut out because it goes too much amperage on the bloody 12 volt rail and the thing goes, nah, I'm out. So yeah, don't buy this power supply, but this particular power supply I'm using has been tested and used for 2 years. It's been used in this particular build. It's overclocked well and it ain't broke. I'm not going to try and fix it, and I don't want to spend $100 on a new power supply. So that's why it stays. Now, a couple of other tidbits. We have a Blu-ray drive going in there. Hyper 212, as I mentioned, is the air cooler. We've got the Corsair Air 540 case, I believe. It's an old case. Got it off a mate. It was a good deal. I swapped him for a case I had. I got that case. Worked out for both of us. And finally, the Fistella Resistance 8 capture card. This will do 1080p 30 frames per second. Not great, but it's enough to get it off this camera right here, which does 1080p 50. But honestly, for the kind of streaming that I do, this is fine. And I also have another USB-based capture card for a second camera. Anyway, that is the parts. I think it's time to build it. So I gotta say, putting an air cooler on for the first time in a long time sucked. That took me half an hour to do, that one bloody cooler. Anyway, let's keep going. Alright guys, so we're done. That's it. We got the drives in. Only jank thing I had to do was cable tie the SSD at the back, but there's always something jank on my builds, I guess. Graphics cards in, CPU coolers in, which was a prick to get in, but I got it in. Capture cards there, all the SATA ports, and everything's kind of looking pretty neat and nice and clean for me, because normally I'm not neat, clean and nice. It's normally pretty jank. But I digress. So let's fire it up and see if it still works. Alright guys, so it is working. I'm pretty happy. So all 5 drives are detected, the 2 SSDs and the 3 hard drives. Graphics card's fine, the capture card's fine, the CPU cooler is mounted properly and actually cooling the CPU, as well as even the friggin' RGB strips. All worked for once. Normally I have weird gremlins, but for once I turned the power button on and it just bloody worked. Never happens. I'm super happy. So I'm not going to bore you guys with benchmarks because you guys have seen this 100,000 times. I'm sorry that I haven't posted content recently. It really bothered me that I hadn't done it, but I didn't want to post content that wasn't going to be something that I'm passionate about, and I just haven't had the time to do videos. So I'm back now. I will be doing an i7 2600 review. It's almost done. I literally only have to do a couple more things in it and it's done. But I wanted to put this build together first because my PC has been annoying me for some time. And you know what? The best way to get your mojo back is to build yourself a nice damn PC. So there's my nice PC, and Tech Fervor's back, baby. So thanks for watching, guys. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it. Comments down below if you've got anything to ask me. Don't forget the Discord server there. You can also find Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social stuff. I do use it, but not very often. And don't forget to get subscribed, guys. More content, as I said, coming. And the sort of content I do is a bit different from what normal tech tubers do. I just do like random builds and reviews and generally play with old crap that no one else wants to touch, because they all want to play with new things. I want to play new things, I can't afford them, so I get to play with old things. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this, and I'll catch you in the next video.